Billy Preston, 1974. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. You gotta have something if you want to be with me. Billy Preston's song, Nothin from Nothin, is similar to the German philosopher Hegel's theory of reflection in his Science of Logic, 1812, because Hegel determines the concept of essence and reflection as a movement from nothing to nothing in his book. Letter 1, Essence and Reflection. The basic theme of the Essence chapter is reflection, that the essence of things can be known by looking back, rather than by momentary grasping. In German, essence is Wesen, which is derived from gewesen, the past participle of the verb sein, originally meaning to be, but the association of essence with the past was already started by Aristotle. When Aristotle defines essence, he uses the word to mean something that already existed. Essence, or to taihenenai in Greek, is in the imperfect past or imperfect tense. This is the Latin equivalent of what something was in English. Quod quiderat sir? The imperfect past speaks of something that was once, but we don't know if it still is. What we can tell here is that the essence or nature of a thing is established, even if the thing or individual being is not present. In other words, we can know the nature or knowledge of a paulownia tree, even if it is not here, which is why Aristotle labeled essence as the imperfect past tense. Hegel's identification of essence is essentially along the lines of his predecessor, Fichte. In the practical part of his book, Science of Knowledge, Wissenschaftslehre, Fichte seeks the interaction of pure activity and objective activity. This is sometimes referred to as the pure self and the objective self. Pure activity is that which returns to itself, which Fichte calls reflection or reflection into itself. The activity of encountering the object, on the other hand, establishes the existence of the object while limiting the self. With this preliminary knowledge, let's look at the relationship between Hegel's essence and reflection. There are three kinds of reflection. 1, positing reflection. 2, external reflection. And 3, determining reflection. 1, positing reflection. The positing reflection is, in simple terms, the Cartesian I think, therefore I am, consciousness. Thought, thinking, and the self are one. In German idealism, the Cartesian I think turns into transcendental apperception, self-consciousness by Kant. Furthermore, the absolute ego by Fichte. Fichte referred to this activity of the pure self as self-reflection, or reflection in itself. Reflection into itself is Bay. Fichte is also called pure activity, which is infinite. The opposite of the pure activity is the objective activity, which is finite. Subject is infinite, object is finite. The pure activity or reflection into itself is what Hegel has in mind with regard to the positing reflection, which he says is as follows.
Consequently, becoming is essence, its reflective movement is the movement of nothing to nothing, and so back to itself. In the first place, reflection is the movement of nothing to nothing, and is the negation that coincides with itself. This coincidence with itself is, in general, simple equality with self, immediacy.
Edited by H. Lewis Hegel's Science of Logic p. 400. Movement from nothing to nothing does not mean complete nothingness, but the absence of an object. Reflecting mind is always present. Subject is alive, but object is dead. This is original function of reflection. To say that there is no object is to doubt or deny the object. To reflect is also interpreted as to recall, or to think, or to represent. Without objective reality, we can reflect, recall, think. In this regard, reflection is the opposite of reality. Therefore, Hegel relates reflection with negation. That is, reflection is negation of reality object. The negation here is the sublation of the other, which is the thinking of the self that doubts and negates the world, like Descartes' thinking ego. The self that doubts and negates the world actually gains self-affirmation because of its negativity. As Descartes said, the ego which doubt cannot doubt its own existence. This affirmation of the self through doubt of objects is what Hegel called a movement that starts from nothing and sails through nothing. Doubt of objects is also a way of saying that we cannot believe in the objects we see. That is, we cannot believe in the objects that we see. This kind of reflection is called positing reflection. In short, positing reflection is a reflection that negates the other and affirms the self. In this regard, Hegel said, in the first place, reflection is the movement of nothing to nothing and is the negation that coincides with itself. In this context, Hegel describes identity of negation or negative identity. 2. External reflection. Positing reflection sublated the world, which made it powerful. Ego cogito was the door to truth. However, the negated, the sublated, was presupposed to make positing reflection sure of itself. Therefore, the negated is to be recovered as being. This presupposed being is now to be declared as independent thing. In this way, a new type of reflection is born, external reflection. External reflection is a reflection that affirms both subject and object. In this regard, external reflection is different from positing reflection, which recognizes its own validity as absolute ground of truth. In Hegel's word, external reflection regards itself as disconnected from independent thing. It is compared to our ordinary consciousness and the world. Thing or object is transcendent to external reflection. Therefore, determination of external reflection can't be valid and complete. From the standpoint of idealism, external cognition is not to be legitimated, because immanent cognition is the only foundation of knowledge. Common belief in external, transcendent world leads to dogmatism. None of each determining reflection. External reflection established the other as negation of itself. The other is external to reflection, but the cognition of the other is invalid. In this point, we can synthesize the reflection and its object, the other. The externality or transcendence is made up of the soul, mind. The third type of reflection appears, determining reflection. This reflection accommodates the other as its own property. In other words, the immanent structure of the other comes to light. In Hegel's words, the determination of reflection, on the other hand, has taken its otherness back into itself. Hegel's Science of Logic p. 407. Determining reflection is the unification of positing reflection and external reflection. Above I said that my thoughts and actions are affirmed in the process of doubting the other, but the doubt is the idea that I presuppose the other. This is what Hegel called establishing the other as presupposed. In the positing reflection, the certainty of reflecting ego was established. In the external reflection, the certainty of reality was established. However, the objective validity of reality was not established. The established objectivity of reality is called determination of it. Determination of thing is, so to speak, the scientific specification of things. Therefore, determining reflection extracts the objective aspect of things. In other words, the objectivity is established. The objectivity is namely reflection into self. Consciousness, in returning into itself, establishes the objectivity of the object, which Hegel calls determination. I establish myself as an absolute being, that is, an infinitely independent being, and I see the world as my world, that is, as subjectivity. In this way, the unity of subject and object is confirmed. The second book of the Logic, the Doctrine of Essence, utilizes the above-mentioned three-stage theory of reflection to develop its ideas. It derives the categories of identity, difference, and contradiction from the movement of reflection.